to make America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics and Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas, and good morning to the entire United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet created by we the people, now controlled by the billionaires, but something we will take back. We have a lot to talk about today, so let me immediately go to the geniuses, los genios, in the studio.
And those heinous geniuses are standing by for the greatest show on the radio this morning.
I love that. I love that.
And that's my radio announcer voice. Good morning,
I had a
Egberto.
radio announcer voice.
You do. Good morning, Egberto. It is Thursday morning at the radio, the 6th of March, and we are right here. And I want to say congratulations to a very divided Supreme Court for the stare decisis decision to let the lower court stand. Congratulations, you bombs.
At last, at last, at last.
Well, you know, it's going to be the first crack. This is, we're going to see a lot of these cases go to the Supreme Court. They're going to be very divided against, you know, themselves, much like the nation is. So, yes. You know, our nation is so totally divided now. I don't think I've ever seen it this way. Maybe it was this way before the Civil War. I don't know. But I've never seen this in my entire life of 70 years. I have yet to see this nation so divided against a president. Even Watergate was tinker toys compared to this. Mm-hmm. This is insane.
But you know, anyway, what I would like to know, you know, Howard, I wonder how, if there was the psychological warfare in the past that we're having now, because these people really, I mean, it's a uniform effort to mislead. I don't know that it was ever this organized before.
I don't know. It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand how we got here. I mean, not really hard to understand how we got here. They've been loosening the laws for so many years, letting the Supreme Court deciding that a corporation is a person, so they can donate to, and they can, you know, buy our politicians. That's basically what happened. That's the result of that. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, well, this corporation X, you know, billion-dollar company, oh, well, you know, it's okay to make donations to the political parties. So they bought the politicians, and now here we are. It's the second Gilded Age, and if we're not careful, and if some people don't stand up, we're going to end up like Russia, all the oligarchs and puppet Putin, and that's going to be it, because there will be no democracy. There will be no voting. And if you do get a chance to vote, it's not going to count.
Exactly.
So anyway, with that joyous news, we got wisdom from Jack this morning. Then we'll get to Elise Bench, who has joined us by tin cans and string. And we'll get to her in just a moment.
Well, good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, Jack. How are you doing this morning, sir?
I'm all right. Well, actually, I'm not all right. You know, I looked through some of the news this morning, and there was one post there that they're going to suspend Social Security payments for 90 days. I don't know if that's true or just something in the media. I mean, it just really upsets me because this affects me. This really makes my life a lot harder to deal with.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Me too.
So anyway, Trump and Musk are clearly here to hurt America and its citizens. They propagandize the public with lies and misinformation about fraud in the programs that provide social services to you. How do you explain to grandma that the billionaires robbed her of her SSI, that the billionaires stole her Medicare benefits? So she might as well just walk off into the wilderness and meet her maker and stop being such a burden to society. That's the sentiment the billionaires Trump and Musk operate under. These cuts to our social service have fatal results in the reality of real life.
Mm-hmm. They
It
do.
started, it's already started.
Look, you just said something that is so important in the reality of real life. You just mentioned something, and I just want to make sure that our audience don't go into full panic mode. Any news that says they're going to cut Social Security for 90 days is not real news. I mean, not even an insane person would advertise that that is something to be done. So, all our listeners out there, let me just say this. Look, what they're trying to do is to cripple our government so that they can have a pretext to bring the private sector in to do all the services that the government does for you. You break it so that when you're repairing it, you can bring these private sector folks in who are going to make a huge profit for restoring the services the government previously provided under your tax dollars, and then say, wow, the private sector saved it. And of course, on top of everything the private sector does, you're going to have to pay the shareholders a profit. As far as your Social Security, for those receiving Social Security right now, I don't want anybody to go ahead and get into some panic or get a heart attack or have undue stress, etc. What we want you to do is engage to make sure that going forward they don't do machinations that are going to hurt you, that are going to hurt your mother, your brother, your sister, your child, whatever. So we are still in the activist stage where we can make a difference in how the programs function. So, what they want you to do right now is to feel despair, to feel crippled, to feel as if you don't matter. The fact is, as Neil is going to point out, oh, by the way, today is Neil Aquino Day. I'm going to get to at least right now, but I just wanted to say this right after Brother Jack mentioned about what he saw about 90 days. I don't want folks to get some undue stress that can actually be, as Jack said, be fatal, could be fatal. So, folks, remember, despair is solved by action. And even in an authoritarian state, the authoritarian needs you to be scared because still there's only a few authoritarians and there's mostly most of us or you, and ultimately most of us can get the results that we demand. Sorry for that interjection. So Elise is in, right?
I'm
She's
here.
here. Oh, there she is. You know, she is such a dedicated person to KPFT. She has been
Yes.
here in person weekends and just, pitching and telling us how great KPFT is. Of course, we already know that, but it bears repeating that she has been such a trooper. And I want to say thank you so much for all of what you do.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Elise.
Howard. It's lovely to work with you guys. I was going to say that, I was going to thank you for having me on, Egberto, and allowing me to be a part of the show a couple days a week during Pledge Drive. It's been a pleasure to wake up and be with you guys every morning that I've been able to be here. And I feel like one of the Houstonians or one of the people around the world who counts on this show every weekday at 6 o'clock because we do have a lot of uncertainty around us. I hear it in your voices. I can feel it too. It's something that I, just no matter what side of the political aisle you might find yourself on, and that might be changing on a day-to-day basis. I think one thing we can all agree on is it's such a comfort to have this station, to know that this station is here through it all, through the ups and downs and through this wild political climate that we happen to be living through right now. So thank everyone for listening. Thank you for finding us. If you found KPFT down here at 90.1 FM, we are here and we've been here for 55 years. We're in the middle of our winter fund drive right now. We have an overall goal of $170,000 and we're actually in the home stretch. We have less than $23,000 to go to reach our goal, and we have a very modest goal on Egberto's show this morning. Politics Done Right is responsible for raising $400. And it doesn't sound like a lot when you think about that in the moment, but when you think about the fact that Egberto is responsible for making sure that his show is funded on a daily basis, we're talking $400 a day, every weekday. So we need your help to get to that goal. If you can make maybe a modest $10 a month donation, that's going to be $120 a year that KPFT can tap into to keep this important resource running in tip-top shape and on the air. It'd be $15 a month would make it $180 a year. Plus, every new sustaining membership that we get to KPFT earns a $10 match from the local station board. So that commitment that you make will go even further to make sure that we stay on the air, able to give you this important information. I'll give you the phone numbers and then I'll turn it back over to the studio and to Egberto. It's 713-526-5738, option 1 to make your pledge of support, or go online to kpft.org. Back to you.
Thank you so kindly, Lisa. Let me say today is Aquino Day, but before we bring Aquino in, I want to give a big salute to Loretta Brock in the chat right now, and she has shared the program as well. So thank you so very kindly, Loretta, for being here with us. Look, we have Neil Aquino. Houston Pete, let me call it Houston. I'm in all these confounded organizations. I get them all mixed up. The Houston Democracy Project. I was about to say Houston Peace and Justice Center. We did an activity this weekend, and it's on my mind. Houston Democracy Project. Neil Aquino, how are you doing, my dear brother?
I'm doing all right. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, global, local audience, and we are here. We are here, and we are gonna stay the course, as Ronald Reagan used to say. We're gonna stay the course.
You know what? It's so interesting. You bring up Ronald Reagan. It's amazing how passive Ronald Reagan seems now, how sensible Ronald Reagan seems now.
Oh
And you know,
no,
we
no,
thought he was extreme. We thought
no.
he
He was
was.
horrible.
Yeah, I know. But
I know.
what I'm saying, Neil, it's
Yeah,
amazing that when we look at Ronald Reagan compared to a Donald Trump, it's like, Madre mia, how far has the right gone?
yeah,
Not to the, they haven't gone to the right. They have just gone. But anyway,
yeah.
so
There,
what's up,
yeah,
Neil?
yeah. Well, a lot of local, Mayor Turner, Congressman Turner passed,
Yes, yes.
and Congressman Al Green, in fact, been in the news. And I just saw on Facebook just a second ago, Al Green made a comment on his Facebook that he'll be censured today at 10 o'clock. And now that I think about it, I don't know if I read that as specific or, I mean, as Eastern, but he says that he will be censured at 10 o'clock today in Congress.
Well, let me tell you, for the amount of things that the Republican Congress people have done, who have not paid a price for doing what they've done, they neither were kicked out of the chamber nor were they censored. I mean, I think RP, what's her name? The woman from
Taylor Green.
Taylor Green. I think she got censored. I'm not sure if she did or
I
not.
think there was something, and after Congressman Green was tossed out of the room, he said he would accept any punishment. Al Green, we reported on this a couple weeks ago here on the show. I'd gone to a Al Green town hall, and he is encouraging people to protest. He is saying, do not wait for Congress, do not wait for the political class, don't defer to me. He says that people should protest and act, and he lived up to that on that horrible speech 2 days ago.
I have a lot of respect for Al Green. I respected him even more after he did what he did because, again, when your hands are tied behind your back and and secondly, when you have somebody go on stage on the international stage, being in that halls of Congress, and the litany of lies consistently that come out. I am so proud of what he did.
Yeah.
And as far as people have to take it on their lonesome, look, right now, I am sorry, I may take a few hits for this, but the Democrats are simply acquiescing to how things are. They can talk. Right now, it should be a DEF CON, as I wrote in my blog on Sunday. It should be DEF CON 1, and they should be on every airway. They should have by now created live channels on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere.
Yeah.
We should see their faces. This is DEF CON 1. They should be
Yeah.
in every platform, everywhere, and every dollar that they're receiving from the people. When you see those Act Blues come out begging you for money, we want to see that money executed into areas where people are informed. The reason why Americans can take the lies at face value is there's no real effective pushback.
They
And we
could.
Go ahead.
They could. Thank you. Sorry. I've just been thinking how Vice President Harris, was able to rustle up $1.5 billion.
Yes.
That flew, and what I just don't understand. We're being gaslighted. We're being told by our Democratic leaders, they keep turning everything into a bit like a Bernie Hillary type fight. They keep pushing back at us that everyone who wants to act is on the left. Now, there's nothing wrong with being on the left. We're on the left, but they keep telling us. I would just like to see, like you said, a YouTube, an effective response. They could consistently be highlighting lines at a national park, someone who's had a scientist who worked for 6 years, a park ranger, a veteran. I mean, they are gutting all of these veterans. They could have these people on all the time, and they
Yes.
want and they keep turning it back on us. It's just infuriating,
Neil,
um,
they're
that it's our
lazy.
fault. They
They're
are
lazy,
lazy.
and it's not only that they're lazy, but they're paying all these big. But Kamala got Johnny. You know what? Before we get here, Johnny's been on the line. Johnny was a consistent caller, and I think Johnny has been ill for a while. I want to hear
Great.
from Johnny,
Okay.
and then we'll continue. Johnny, come on in.
Did you notice the faces of some of those Democrats seated behind Al Green as he was being scolded and escorted?
Yes,
Oh, did you see the defeated-looking faces? That is not
yes.
what America wants to see. But I wanted to first congratulate Elise. And my brain right now does not cooperate with me. I can't ring up her last name. It keeps telling me
Elise
Stefani.
Bench. Oh, you're talking about Elise in Congress. Go ahead.
No, at least the lady who does your traffic, not traffic,
Elise
but the
Bench.
news.
Yeah.
She does an excellent job. I have to concur with Captain Reynolds' rap. She does an excellent job, and she's right up there in terms of her testimonial pitches during Fund Drive. She's right up there with Dwayne Bradley and oh man, who was the female manager? Anyway, it'll come to me one day, and I'll correct my testimonial. So, what was the reason why? Oh, the reason why I called you is because I wanted to dovetail with Magic Jack's image that he put in my head about what would happen now with them attacking Social Security. Think about the value of the GOP, of Donald Trump and his MAGA associates, criminal associates. They value the guys over at Wall Street more than they do everybody's grandma and grandpa. They value those guys. They rather save those guys, those Wall Street criminals, instead of prosecuting them. And you're right. Also, it's so infuriating to see. You and Neil Aquino are so correct. It is so infuriating to see how these centrist Democrats just seem to cave, and they're leaving it up to us. And you know what will happen? As soon as we activate in the streets and in the suites, and then we start looking to remove them physically, that's when they'll play hardball with us, not with
That's
Donald
true.
Trump.
That is true.
You just have to remember, my brother, Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street. it wasn't Republicans who got them out on Occupy
No.
Wall Street. It was Democratic leaders in major American cities
Including
who
Barack
went out
Obama.
and bulldozed this stuff out. Yeah, continue, brother.
It was Barack Obama who laid silent, and he didn't put on his running shoes or whatever he said he was going to do. He allowed the right-wing Nazi police to start breaking up people's tents and stealing their equipment and tasing them and arresting them and cattling them. That's the other thing that bothers me. When we have a Democratic president at the White House, law enforcement is going to do the right-wing thing, not the correct thing, and we need to have recruited and befriended all those police and military who believe in America and the Constitution. That should have been done years ago. And one last thing. The time to take action was back on Inauguration Day when Joe Biden took his hand off the Bible. The very first thing he should have done that day or the next day was go on TV and declare a constitutional crisis, and then told the Justice Department, tell that guy who's in the head of the Justice Department to dismiss him and put in his place someone who believes in doing his job. And then right now, as of this month, it would have been 3 years that Donald Trump would have been in prison. 3 months as of this month. He would have been in prison for 3 years already. Think about that.
That is sad. I mean, I want to remind folks, whenever Republicans are in power, the Attorney General will always be a Republican. The Attorney General and the guy who runs the Defense Department, always be a Democrat or Republican. I mean, a Republican. Whenever, or the FBI leader would always be a Republican. And when the Democrats come into power, who do they generally appoint to the FBI? Who do they generally appoint? Think about that. When you
who should we put? They ask, who should we put into place? Like, they can't come to me or Bernie and ask. I have lots of ideas on that.
I hear you, Johnny. But hey, Johnny, before I go, and we have to do a little pitch in here, but before I go, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling a little bit better, and I did not forget my promise. My script is around here somewhere. I've got to record it, and then I'll share it with you in the next few days on a suggestion as to what people can do in terms of teasing Republicans in Washington, D.C.
All right. Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Great.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. I want to go back to Neil in a minute, but I want to do a little pitch here, folks. We are at zero right now. This is the second to last day, we hope, of having to pitch here in the morning on the Politics Done Right. I think we're trying to get this stuff wrapped up by Sunday. We need to do our part. So I'm asking you to give us a call now. I'm going to do a little pitch here, and then Elise is going to come on and do a little pitch. So you're not going to lose any of the program. You have good time now to give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, and give whatever you can. Or go to kpft.org, hit the donate button, followed by selecting Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting, and give whatever you can. I have a few suggestions here. One is consider becoming a $5 a month sustainer. Think about that. That's less than the price of a Starbucks coffee if you can do that for us. And while it's a little bit for you, it makes a huge difference for us if we can get a whole lot of people doing that. Likewise, you can consider doing $10 a month. I am doing $10 a month. I support several other 501c3 progressive organizations as well. So I feel it's a good way for. I'm just an activist now, guys. That's all I am, an activist now. And I feel it's a good price point where I can do my job here at KPFT, be also a supporter at KPFT as well. $15 a month. Many can afford $25 a month. Some can just say, I want to give a one-time contribution. Please, please consider doing that. And I ask you kindly to consider doing that now so that I can thank you on air. We are behind as far as on a daily basis. So whatever you can to help us do this will be great. Don't forget, Coffee with Egberto, $250. Yeah, it's a gimmick. I'd go to coffee with you anyway. But hey, look, we're trying to raise some money here for KPFT. All of this goes directly into the coffers of KPFT to pay our bills. And with that, let's go to Elise.
About everything I thought about talking about, Egberto, and that's kind of the case when I listen to you. It's almost like you're so tapped in and you know exactly what's going on. You've got your finger on the pulse. So thank you for what you do each and every weekday morning at 6 a.m. here on KPFT. You found KPFT 90.1 FM. You're listening to Politics Done Right with your host, Egberto Willies. We've been talking with Neil Aquino this morning from the Houston Democracy Project. So great to hear from Johnny. You know, I haven't heard his voice in a while, and he is one of those listeners and one of those callers to KPFT who you can count on to give you a great take. He's thoughtful. He's tapped in as well. He keeps up with everything going on locally and nationally. We've got the best listeners and we've got the best callers. Thank you so much, Johnny. Great to hear from you. And if you want to add your voice to those who have already made their commitment to KPFT, we would love to thank you. You'll be the first one of the day that we'll be able to thank, and you can put your donation now toward KPFT. You can get the process started online at kpft.org or 713-526-5738, option 1. As Egberto mentioned, we are in the final days of our pledge drive, and we can't afford not to fund this radio station, especially now when the talk is so important. And I know that's what we want to get back to. So we won't take breaks. We won't take commercial interruptions on this radio station. We only break a couple times a year to ask for your support because we are dedicated to remaining commercial free and listener sponsored. We just had our 55th birthday on Saturday. We hope we can continue to bring Houston this important news and information as we've been able to do. And we're asking for your help and support right now to continue on with that mission. If you believe in what you're hearing, if you believe in the power of free speech radio, now is the time to make sure that we keep this vital resource on the air and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. 713-526-5738. Make your pledge of support now to kpft.org. Back to you, Egberto.
Thank you so kindly, Elise. I want to salute Jacqueline Campisi. Thank you so kindly for being here. Glenn Ryan as well. Glenn Ryan, we are actually going out for coffee. Glenn, you just tell me your availability at kpft at politicsandright.com, and we'll kind of match it up and go do. He took advantage of the coffee with Egberto. Thank you, my brother. I do appreciate that. Let's see what else we have here. We need to deliver on healthcare, deliver on education, and the people will believe. Those two items alone would boost millions of families economically. And once you do that, you will have them for generations. Glenn, we agree. Absolutely so. Absolutely so, but we got to get it done. Jacqueline Campisi says, good morning, sharing info to family and friends, just like Loretta Brock is sharing the info as well. So thank you. That is how we grow a station. There's this stuff called geometric or exponential growth, right? If everybody says, I am going to turn 5 people on to your station, and each of those 5 turn on 5, and each of those 5 turn on 5, we get quickly a large base where we can disperse information. All right, Neil, you have a whole lot of stuff that you want to cover. But first, I want to say we want to give the family of Sylvester, the Honorable Congressman Sylvester Turner, our most sincere condolences. Sylvester was a very hard working public servant. You may not have believed, or you may not have agreed 100% with what or how he did things, but I can tell you, knowing him personally, Sylvester Turner really believed in the people. He's one person that came up from poverty here in Houston and went to the heights of the political system, both locally, statewide, and nationally. Neil?
Right. Mayor Turner passed, and so he was discussed at length at Houston City Council yesterday. Mayor Whitmire. It was a little bit interesting. I found the conversation from Mayor Whitmire a little frustrating, actually. If you'd listened to him, you'd have thought they were they were brothers. Mayor
Yes.
Whitmire's been spending. This really isn't a comment about Mayor Turner actually, but because Mayor Whitmire spent the last 15 months in office bashing Sylvester Turner, and you think yesterday that they were, joined at the hip. He talked about all the times they'd introduced each other and all that, and it made me think of George Carlin's line, it's all a big club and you ain't in it. And was you couldn't you didn't even is Turner just a foil for Whitmire? But it really left me just kind of wondering about it all. And I found it kind of insightful. But they went around the council table on their Wednesday. They meet every Wednesday at 9 a.m. For their agenda business. They had a small agenda yesterday, and they talked about Mayor Turner. There's a lengthy obit in the Chronicle. I'm reading one here. State Senator Miles said the first time that he met Mayor Turner, he was at the Capitol and wanted to ask then State Representative Turner why he had voted to cut the children's health insurance program. Sylvester chuckled at me. He said, "If you want to do something about it, you want to change it, run against him." And I guess that was a spur for Boris Miles. Turner frequently worked with Republicans in the House. Whitmire was talking about how Turner repeatedly was on a final budgetary committee that made ultimate decisions. But he was a more progressive mayor than Whitmire. He did advocate a climate policy. He was very insiderish, and not exactly my style, and nor I think a style that has led to a healthy Democratic Party. But his loss was certainly sudden. I guess he had been at the speech
You know, I'm
2
glad.
days.
I'm glad you mentioned what Miles said because I agree with that. I, and we've discussed it on air before. Neil, I had issues with Sylvester, but again, when Sylvester came out to Kingwood to march with our Kingwood area Democrats, we talk. I mean, look, he's a good guy. His political philosophy may not be as progressive as ours, but you know what? We have room for everybody, and I know that it seemed hypocritical. I saw parts of what the mayor had to say, Whitmire had to say, and yes, to some extent it was hypocritical. But you know what I was glad about? That he concentrated on the positive on on Sylvester, because again, that our current mayor, sometimes it makes me wonder political affiliation and also, to put it bluntly, a level of humanity. But continue, my brother.
He did focus on the positive, and he should. Um, but he also focused. He also focused on the insider nation of it all. It was a way that actually left me feeling excluded as a citizen.
I hear you.
If you weren't in that club, you weren't making a decision, and that's the reason I just highlighted what Miles said. If you want
Yeah.
to change it, run against me. Not
That you notice I picked up on that because I love that, because again, I don't agree with a lot of our current Democrats and how they do things. Both you and I are very
yeah.
more into activism, getting things done. Not, but again, we have to work within our we we have the system that we have, I guess is what we should say, and it's for us, as he told Miles, to disrupt. Continue, brother.
It is, and I think that gets to um, what we were talking about before, the failure. I was just reading on Facebook. I just lost it, but it was a weatherman in the National Weather Service in Paducah, who was quote unquote retiring after 39 years, and it said that he had been in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Indianapolis, something called Northwestern Indiana. They could be highlighting the day-to-day aspect of people's lives, the farmers in Indiana, the farmers in South Dakota who rely on these services. There's so many creative things they do, and every time we ask them to act, they're making like we're reading the Communist Manifesto to them. and they don't want to do anything different, and they want to maintain this illusion that whenever Trump goes, or whenever they take power, the fundamental question they can't answer. Let's say that Harris had won.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they never would have accepted it. They didn't plan to accept it. They planned to
Right.
go to the courts. And the question they can't answer is, how are we going to avoid spending a life in perpetual conflict? That's to me the question they can't answer. They keep thinking that things will return to normal, which is an environment good for them and not necessarily good for us.
I am so glad you said that because I want to repeat what Glenn Ryan said in the chat because he nailed it, right? When he says, deliver on healthcare, deliver on education, and people will believe, right? And
Right.
the problem is so often we just take scraps. Imagine if when Biden went into office in those 2 years, not only passed good programs, but went ahead and knocked the corporatocracy for the policies that, even with the policies he passed, continue to have us in decline. I mean, and it's not hard to do. Imagine if a lot of Democrats went into rural areas and went out there every time that hospital closed and say
Right.
this is because of policy, this is what we need to do. Imagine if we went out to the soybean farmer when and said those tariffs are causing this to occur. I mean, it just but again, they don't do that. But these are elitists that are out there in wherever who collect big, that 1.2 billion dollars that she had to spend, that our friend had to spend, Kamala had to spend. Imagine if that was spent in the inner cities, the barrios and Appalachia, how many more votes they could have gotten out instead of paying a consultant $50,000, instead of paying a person that comes and sings on stage $8 million. Imagine what
Yeah.
could have been done then.
Yeah,
But
they won't. And just imagine if our local representatives were. I mean, they do events. They do. Watching city council. I think they are consistently engaged by people. But just imagine if they were in communities knocking doors.
yes,
The people are not. It seems so simple, but it would require work, and it would also at this point require physical risk, and that's one of the things about Al Green. When I went to the Al Green town hall 3 weeks ago, there was a metal detector, or you were wanted. You were wanted. There were 15 HPD and Nation of Islam security. Okay,
hmm,
and so this guy, the threats that he's getting.
yes,
He's accepting physical risk, and when there are people protesting now in this environment, um, you're accepting a measure of physical risk because that's the environment we're in. And we know that if someone attacks you, Dan Patrick will be on Twitter that night calling them a hero of freedom. And our electeds continue to not want to understand this reality that they helped create.
yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right. Now I need to do, folks. We are close to. We're at 38 right now, and we still have yet to receive our first contribution. So we're far away from that $400 Elise spoke about. That $600 I would love to see for the station. So I'm going to ask you kindly to give us a call at 713-526-5738, extension number 1, to donate whatever you can, or go to kpft.org, kpft.org, hit the donate button, followed by selecting the Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, followed by whatever you're able to give. I'm going to pass it to Elise. She has a much nicer voice than I do.
Right. And then let me
Elise?
make a pitch after Elise is done as well.
Yes, sir. Elise?
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate it. 713-526-5738 or kpft.org. We are asking for your pledge of support this morning as we try to wrap up our winter fund drive. We are on our way to completing our goal of $170,000. That is kind of a daunting goal sometimes when you look at it, especially if you're starting from scratch, as we do each and every time we begin a pledge drive. But through your donations and your support, bit by bit, we get there. We make our way to our goal, and we can't afford not to fund this radio station. We cannot afford not to make our goal because, as you have been talking about, as we've been discussing, free speech and democracy is very fragile right now. And we're one of those radio stations who absolutely feels it during this time. We feel that urgency. We feel that sense of despair sometimes, to be honest, when we're looking at a goal and we're trying to complete our mission of just being available, holding these airwaves in this space open for you to be able to not only get this news and information, but to participate. We open our phone lines up every day at 713-526-5738, and we invite you and encourage you to participate and talk to us about what's going on and talk about the things that are important to you, and we want to know what you think. And hopefully when you do participate, you find that it's a great experience and you're welcome to do that anytime. And we really hope that this is something that is important enough to you in your life to make sure that you keep it around. You can do that with your $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month donation. Whatever you're comfortable doing, it helps us, and it helps us stay on the air commercial free and listener sponsored. We're also a 501c3 organization, so your donations are tax deductible. 713-526-5738, option 1. Won't you give what you can now and help us at kpft.org? I'll give it back to you.
Thank you so kindly, Elise. Neil?
Sure, and let me tell you that when we have the chance to act in solidarity, we should take it. And in this environment, independent media is as important as could be. This show is the real deal. Egberto and I will have a 20-minute chat before we go on the air, and we'll talk about what I'm going to say. If I don't back up something that I'm going to say, he'll ask me to confirm the fact with an article or some source. It's the real deal. When Egberto is kind and courteous to all callers, that's the kind of ethos he makes clear that he wants on the show. This is the real deal here. A tremendous amount of work. The money goes to the station. Egberto's a contributor. I'm a contributor. So we're backing up what we're saying, even on top of volunteer time. And this, if you participated, in the economic boycott, that was an act of solidarity, expression. And this here is also an act of solidarity to promote expression with free media from a host who does the work and is exactly the person off the air that he is on the air.
Thank you so kindly for that, Neil. I appreciate that. And let me just say that Neil says you can do that, Egberto, just like Fund Drive. Tell one person at a time, one person at a time, one person at a time. That is true. Let me just say this. I am, let's see, Loretta says, I'm bothered as well. I am irritated. And you know what we do to solve that, Loretta? What you're doing right now. We engage. So thank you so kindly for engaging. Look, this one program, we don't only do on-air radio, online media. We also make sure to have our TikToks, our Instagram, our YouTube lives, our reels, our all these things we do to promote this one program, to promote all over the message. We are reaching over 1 million different folk a month. I mean, that sees our stuff. So this is one program, and is duplicated all over. Imagine if we had the force and the presence from from groups that are out there that could fund this kind of stuff. How much further we could go? It's amazing. We have to get engaged. We have to do the work. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
As for people that criticize our reps as not being activist enough, Bum Phillips was once asked why he didn't change his lineup card. He says, we're going to dance with who brung us. All right, I look at the alternative. Compared to the alternative, we need to work with the ones we have. I enjoy getting my Social Security and my pension. That's what I live on. And I'm going to look at the alternatives and say, you know what, right here on the air, I'm going to tell you that I pledge it'll be about 3 weeks from now. When I get my next check, I'm going to send another contribution in. If you're retired, drawing a pension and Social Security, and you enjoy having that, you can. Doesn't matter if you can afford what I can afford. You can give something, because look at the alternative. You got to dance with who bring you. Yesterday I was at the pharmacy, and a MAGA guy was discussing with the pharmacist why he thought Trump was right, and the pharmacist set him straight. And it made me feel good to hear the pharmacist telling him, you don't want to lose your health care, you don't want to lose your Social Security. And maybe if we had more pharmacists and doctors speaking up, that would be great. But anyhow, I'm going to get off the air now.
No, wait, Bruce. No, I mean that conversation intrigues me. What after the pharmacist explained to the MAGA guy about the realities of how he gets his medicine, etc., what was his reaction?
Nobody got loud. They were both talking pretty calmly. But as he walked away, he goes, well, I hope you're not right. He goes, I think it's just going to take time, and they're going to get rid of that fat. And the pharmacist says, politely said, no. This guy's bad. And then I said, he's the worst president in history. And the pharmacist agreed with me, and the guy just walked away. But he wasn't mad or anything. He just had a look on his face like, go ahead.
I want to hear that conversation was more effective than one would believe, because there are two kinds of responses. One is if that guy had gotten very upset with the pharmacist or with you, right? It would have said that. I mean, even as he doesn't really take that in right there, seeds got planted there. But if he was just reactionary, it wouldn't have been there. So I want folks to listen to that story Bruce talked about, because all of you, every single one of you out there, can be that type of a civil conversation to engage others respectfully. I always said, if we go into rural America, I'm talking about progressives go into rural America and talk to these people, which I do, by the way, and talk to these folks, you'll notice that the problem isn't these folks. The problem is who is informing these folks. And if we become a part of their information stream, we will get some of them as well. Thank you so kindly for that story, Bruce.
Let me just say one thing real quick. Using Musk's definition of Ponzi, not the real definition, but the Musk definition, you could actually make an argument that capitalism is a Ponzi scheme. Anyhow, I'm done.
Brother, actually capitalism is a Ponzi scheme, and that's what we speak about all the time. Now, I have to be careful in the way it is said, because we are such indoctrinated as a country. Someone would say, well, if you say capitalism is a Ponzi scheme, you're un-American or you're a communist, which isn't the case. I'm just saying, think about it. If a few makes all the profits off of your spoils, that is the answer. That's a Ponzi scheme. Thank you, Bruce. Let's go to Brian.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, brother. Talk to me.
Good morning. Yeah. If I donate to the station, anybody else can also do the same thing, because you're never going to hear two sides on one station. This station does give you that ability. Just like me, I oppose the Democratic Party for what they did during the speech that Trump just held. That was pretty sad. They could not even stand up or acknowledge a 13-year-old cancer patient. They were wearing pink, but they voted against women and men in the same sports arena competing in the same fashion. That's an embarrassment. It really is.
All right, Brian, let me address two things that you said about Al Green. I am happy for what Al Green did. I have a question for you. You remember when Wilson got up when Obama was speaking and said, "You lie"? You remember that, right?
Yes, I do.
What was your reaction to that? I want to know if you're consistent or not.
I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was right.
Okay, and did you say that? Because I covered that on air. I don't know if you called in then or not, but well, at least you're consistent about that. Okay, you're consistent about that, and I give you kudos for that. With regards to the young kid that Donald Trump tried to use as a prop, I think I'm not sure what the reaction should be. Because, as you know, the NIH, a lot of the cancer research and all of that was canceled under or suspended under this Doge deal. And then what Donald Trump wanted to promote there is, you see, I'm in for kids. I'm in for kids with cancer. Cancer research did that when at the same time he's cutting it. So what should the reaction be when you know somebody's being used as a prop? The honest reality is, let me ask Neil. Neil, how would you have reacted to that?
Oh, excuse me. I would have remained seated. I do. I want to take that just a second. You just mentioned Joe Wilson of South Carolina. This is what's so frustrating because I had noticed a few months ago in the nation of Georgia, there's been a political dispute between pro-Russian side and a pro-European side.
Hmm.
And here's the thing: I had noticed that Congressman Wilson, this is the very guy who yelled "You lie," was criticizing Russia repeatedly. The thing is, they know that this is a hard right guy from South Carolina. He got actively involved thanks to the strength of the freedom-loving Georgian people. He knows he's been active. They know that these people are attacking and assaulting our freedom. And when you ask us to stand, um, these are people taking our freedom, and many of these House numbers they know it, and it's difficult
Yeah,
to stand for that.
I agree. But I want to tackle something else that our brother
I know I
Brian
want to
said.
field on that, but every time I hear his name, I'm like, he
No,
knows.
I know, I get it. I see your frustration, Neil. But I want to tackle one other thing brother Brian had to say when he mentioned about the trans stuff. Right look, there is a legitimate discussion to have in sports and trends, etc., a scientific, legitimate discussion to have. Unfortunately, because it is being weaponized, because the rights of trans people are being weaponized and attacked, it's hard to have that discussion. If you listen to what Brian had to say about the issue, right? Oh, guys, they make it seem like this is something that's prevalent throughout the country. These are one or two incidents, and I agree. Look, I am a 100% supporter of the LGBTQ movement when it comes to things like sports and stuff in the bodies that give any side is some advantage. I want a scientific answer to it. I don't want a frustrated answer. I don't want to pull things from my hip, and that is what I think they're doing to folks like our brother Brian there. They make him all pissed off that girls are competing with boys. We only have two genders. No, we don't only have two genders, okay? Scientifically, we don't. But anyway, continue,
What?
Brian. Anything else you want to add?
Wait a minute. We don't. First off, he wasn't used as a prop, and we do have just two genders. I don't know where you're coming from. What is it?
I,
Zero
I
point
get
zero zero
no,
one
no, no,
percent.
no, no. Brian, let
Is
me
that
just
a?
say this, okay? Brian, let me just say this, okay? Let me just say this. The gender issue. I'm not an expert on, but what I do know is I read scientific literature as to what makes things female, male, all that good stuff. And when we want to make it absolute, one gender, etc., it is a false statement. But let's talk about this another time when we have more time. You get onto my show whenever you want. So I'm not going to leave you stranded. But anyway, go ahead and give a pitch for the show, Brian.
I always do. If I can get up some money, anybody can. And you'll
Thank you,
never hear
brother.
another voice of you if you're not a robot. Thanks.
Exactly.
Bye.
We agree. Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, let's go to. Oh, Johnny calling twice today. Well, Johnny has earned that after he's been off the air for so long. Come on in, Johnny.
Real quickly, I don't want to hog the airwaves. I know time is precious. Brian, our fellow time traveler, you are suffering from convenient amnesia. Now, you are at a slight advantage over me in terms of your criticism of the Democrats in the most recent State of the Union. But let me remind you, to help counter that amnesia that you are suffering from, is that there are lots of opportunities where the Democrats have stood up and or applauded along with Republicans when they had similar types of things to point out in terms of ID politics. They have done that. And just because they didn't do it one time, don't get your panties up in a knot. And by the way, gender ID runs on it's fluid. It runs on a left to right wide scale, as already enumerated by scientists. You know, people that study medicine and biology and evolution. So there. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Johnny. Okay, folks, I'm still at 0. This has not happened before. Folks, give me a call, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org. I'm going to go to Elise because Elise has a much better voice than I do. Elise!
It's very debatable, Egberto. I enjoy hearing your voice every morning at 6 o'clock on Politics Done Right. And if this is something that you count on listening to, or maybe you've just found this information in this radio station, you think, wow, this is a kind of discourse I can get behind. We're hearing both sides. We're hearing different viewpoints. We're hearing from different callers who are correcting the record for other callers. I really think this is the important kind of news and information that you don't find anywhere else. And KPFT is able to give that to you 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. We're able to bring you this programming because of listener support. We don't break for programming. We don't have corporate sponsorships. This is a unique opportunity for you to be a part of something that matters and for you to have a measure of control in what goes on around you, because that's something that's going away. Free speech radio is under attack. We hear it every day, and that's not hyperbole. It is happening. And this is something that we cannot afford to let slip through our fingertips. We can't let KPFT fall by the wayside. We need this station now. And with your support and your continued support, we'll continue to be able to bring you this type of programming. We need to hear from you now at 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. Egberto is here every weekday morning with Politics Done Right. If it's something that you wake up to, if it's something that maybe you go to sleep listening to, depending on when you're up and at 'em, we want to be able to be here for you. And the archive at kpft.org is a great way to make sure that you don't miss out on anything that we do. And we're here for you every day, doing our best to bring you what you need and what you ask for. So this is a station for the people, by the people. We've been doing it for 55 years. It's a model that we stand behind without asking for dollars from corporations or from big box stores. That's something that you don't find anywhere. Community radio in Houston, come on, 713-526-5738, option 1. Support Egberto, support Politics Done Right now with your donation at kpft.org. Back to you.
Thank you so kindly, Elise. Folks, again, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or kpft.org. Look, I have a full interview with the I just lost my train of thought. I have a full interview with the Social Security Works Executive Director, Alex Lawson. And I was going to play it today, but it's a 20-minute interview. We don't have the time on Fund Drive to play it, but it's in the newsletter, and I'll try to play it next week as well. I also have one with the executive director of the Working Families Party, Maurice Mitchell. So I have 2 great interviews. If you want to get you can get to it earlier. Again, if you go to our newsletter, politicsandright.com/newsletter, it is what was supposed to be covered today. But again, since first of all, it is your airwaves, and if you call in, we're going to give you first crack. And today, of course, is also Neil Aquino's Houston Democracy Project's day, because he has a lot to talk about. And folks, remember, his site has a lot to offer. HoustonDemocracyProject.com. HoustonDemocracyProject.com. Stay up to speed with what they're doing. Constantly going out there he can tell you, I can't remember what day it is. I think it's on Tuesdays where he goes ahead, and it's a Tuesdays that you do with
Well,
this.
Tuesday, were the John Cornyn Houston office protest. We had 50 folks last week. Every Tuesday, 11:30 to 1, 5300 Memorial Drive. And if you're looking for a street protest, a way to visibly be seen, we're very visible at the corner of Memorial and Dietering.
I want to read this from Billy Allison Irwin. Billy Allison is in Summerwood. She says, one of our kids identify as trans, and we all agree born males shouldn't wrestle born females. Common sense conversations can happen around that, but they are demonizing these people. Please don't fall for that side of it. Our 20-year-old is a quiet, brainy, non-dramatic good person. They're creating a lot of imaginary threat from these people. And that is what's so sad about it. Thank you, Billy, for your testimony. Billy Allison Irwin, thank you so kindly for that testimony. This is KPFT Houston. That's our station ID. Folks, give us a call at 713-526-5738. I want to give a big thank you to a new sustainer. Uh,
Right.
it's Omero. Thank you so kindly. He thinks the
Thank
country
you.
in the whole continent, not just America. Thank you so kindly for that. You are an American. Thank you, my brother. Neil, go ahead.
Oh, well, thank you for the pledge. And we were talking about before we went on the air the economic blackout, and now I've
While you look it up, I just want to tell folks that what Neil found out is that it did have some effect, and I think he's pulling up some numbers now with the effects.
I'm pulling up the story. Excuse me, and
But folks,
here it is. I got it.
you got it. Go for it.
Thank you. So this is a story in USA Today about the economic blackout, which was February 28th. I think when we get the chance to act in solidarity with one another, we should. Contributing to this show is an act of solidarity. Today, Amazon web traffic down 4.6% from the previous year. The foot traffic down in Target 9.5%. Walmart foot traffic down 6.3%. Starbucks foot traffic down 3.2%. So those are noticeable numbers, and I think it gives a hint of the sustained power that we could have. I think the one-day boycott, it doesn't dent their bottom line too much, but it shows that we have the capacity to act together, and as we go down the road and our civil liberties are suspended, hopefully it's a template.
Yeah, absolutely. I forgot to say that Omero is from Clute, Texas. So we are all over Texas, all over the country, all over the world.
Great.
We've actually received contributions for the program. Folks, we're still way behind. Please consider doing the call right now, 713-526-5738, extension number 1, or go to kpft.org, hit that donate button, select Politics Done Right as a program you're supporting, and then give whatever you can. You could give a sustainer like our brother Omero has done, or $5 a month would be a good sustainer. That's less than a coffee a month. I am a $10 a month sustainer. Neil Aquino has given. Might as well call Neil a sustainer too, because every time Neil supports the station, many times Neil support the station. So I mean, it is imperative that we do that. Solidarity is important more so than ever. We talk about why are these things happening. You heard when Neil talked about uh, Democrats going out there and doing what they should. The different things that they can go out there and do. Well, you know what? We can't will that onto the establishment to do things, but we ourselves can pick up the mantra and do it ourselves. We can make sure and say we are going to sustain programs that are encouraging people to engage positively, civilly in our body politics to make sure things happen, to encourage, to enlighten. You heard Bruce speak about the conversation that he was able to relate that occurred at CVS with that pharmacist. That one conversation that Bruce brought to the fold, I guarantee you, would also bring other conversations because people will be emboldened because they heard that a pharmacist had the fortitude to go ahead and engage civilly with a customer, not in a confrontational manner, just speaking matter of fact. People need to know that it is okay to engage. It is okay to do things. I want to give a big thank you to Karen. Thank you so kindly, Karen, for your support. Karen is from Houston, Texas, for
Great,
your
thank you.
kind support. So think about that, my brothers and sisters. Everything matters. When we have those folks in the chat making their comments and we put those comments on air, it makes a difference. Billy Allison Irwin just responded to Brian's commentary on trans. She made a personal statement where discusses the part of the story that Brian missed. That conversation makes a difference. I guarantee you that there are many right wingers and MAGAs who just heard Billy Allison's story. No, I don't want a guy a person that was born a male competing with a person that was born a female. That is not the trans argument. It's much more complicated. I am not an expert on it. Billy Allison Harrison is living it. Okay? And that's what you get with programming that's not just trying to go at each other's throats, but a program that is trying to hear what's concerning everybody. And then and it's not about coming to the middle. I don't believe in a confounded middle. There's no damn middle. There's either right, wrong, or acceptance. I believe in government strong enough to make sure that no corporation can take advantage of people. Some people believe in having strong corporations. That's not wrong or right. That depends on who you want in power. And we negotiate those things. Folks, 713-526-5738. I'm going to have one last pitch from Elise so that we can start to wrap this thing up, but we need your calls right now, my brothers and sisters. We need to support that which is going to make us a better country. Elise?
713-526-5738, option 1 to make your pledge of support, or kpft.org. You're listening to Politics Done Right with Egberto Willies. We'll be leaving this program shortly and heading over to Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman and Juan Gonzalez. Your pledge of support supports these types of programs. Omero and Clute, he's a monthly sustainer now. He gets it. Karen in Houston made her one-time donation. She gets it. Now, whether or not you get what we're saying or you just love hearing it, this is something that you need to be a part of in the way that makes the most difference in our world today. And if you can do that on a monthly sustaining basis, you're going to be a part of what carries this station forward. And as Egberto was just saying, this is something that whenever you call, you're able to give your opinion. You're able to talk about what's meaningful to you, what you think, and what you have to say is important. And what you have to say, other people should be able to hear. And we're able to provide that for you every day. Egberto guides this conversation in a really civilized, meaningful way, and he welcomes and opens up the airwaves to you because this is your radio station. If it means something to you to have a resource like this, then it is meaningful enough for you to support, whether it's $5 a month, can it be $10 a month? We're on our way to making that goal for Politics Done Right, but we cannot do it without your support. Please do it now at 713-526-5738, option 1, or kpft.org. I'll give it back to you guys in the studio. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so kindly, Elise. Neil, what I want, and I want to hear your side of this. What I want is for people not to feel despair. You have been out there protesting in front of Cornyn's office for how many years now?
We have it's a crew, a team. It's almost like a workplace. 8 years and 5 weeks. and we just had 50 folks, but we have a alternative structures are difficult to maintain.
Well, the reason.
KPFT is
Oh, go ahead.
what's
I'm
that?
sorry. Go ahead.
KPFT is maintained, for 55 years. Alternative structures are difficult to maintain, but we have been out there for 8 years and 5 weeks, and people see us and people count on seeing us. There are people who know that we'll be there, and I've had people in there's an office building. There's a whole 10-story office building. Corning is one floor, and I have had people come. I've been recognized in my local supermarket. I've been recognized one time in my local I was on the phone with my wife, and a guy recognized my voice. So you're the guy outside of, and he worked on the 6th or 7th floor of the building. And hey, you're the Corning guy. But it's a whole dedicated team, and we'd love to see you. We have extra signs for all, but it's important that people see others like themselves willing to act, just as it's important here at KPFT that dedicated volunteers are acting and putting out this great programming.
I want to give a very huge thank you to Scott and Debbie. Thank you so kindly for that substantial contribution.
Okay, great.
I really appreciate your support for this station. Folks,
Great.
we can't do it without you. Neil talks about being out there 8 years protesting, and I know in the back of the heads of some people, you're going to hear them say, "Well, what is it accomplishing? You've been out there for 8 years." Let me tell you, you would not imagine the effect that having between 35 and 50 people in front of your office every week, what it does to the way you perform in Washington, D.C. Because you know that you're not flying under the radar. There are these 35 to 50 activists that are watching you all of the times. Engagement matters. What Neil Aquino and the crew has been doing for 8 years. If you look at the difference between his senator and Cruz, you can see a distinct difference between Cornyn and Cruz. In fact, Cornyn even works with our lady in up in the north, Crockett. They sponsor bills together. Cornyn and Crockett sponsor bills together for the benefit of all of Texas. So, folks, it matters. Engagement matters. I'm going to do one last pitch before I throw it to the studio. Please give us a call at 713-526-5738. Again, 713-526-5738, or go to kpft.org. Hit that donate button. Select Politics Done Right. I ask so kindly to make sure that it's tabulated with our program, and then give whatever you can. Can you do $5 a month, $10 a month, which is what I do, or can you do a little bit more? Or can you give a one-time contribution? Hey, guess what? Would you like a KPFT t-shirt with the Politics Done Right on it? That is a $100 contribution. Hey, what about Coffee with Egberto? A $250 contribution. And I guarantee you, I'm a friendly guy. I can have conversations with anybody. Let me give a quick joke. When the militia was big time here, getting a lot of notion in Texas, I had arranged for having, going out there and speaking to these folks. I was forbidden from doing it by my wife, but I was willing to go ahead and do that. I can speak to anybody, but I want to throw it to the studio before Neil finishes up. Studio?
Oh, we pretty much don't have anything here. Jack doesn't have anything. I think that the Supreme Court did the right thing, and that's all I'll say. So back to you, Egberto, and take it home.
Thank you so kindly, Howard and Jack, for what you guys do. And Elise Bench, we love you. Your voice, lady, your voice. Neil, close her up for me.
Great. Thank you all. Thanks for the contributions. Good to rally at the end. I'm at HoustonDemocracyProject.com, HoustonDemocracyProject.com. There's a blog there, and please check out the effort. And don't forget your local politics. Authoritarianism will require a local infrastructure of supporting officials.
And that's why we are here. One more time, kpft.org. Hit that donate button, select Politics Done Right as the program you're supporting. Give whatever you can. Do you have any complaints? Do you want me to cover a particular subject? Do you want to give some information? kpft@politicsdoneright.com is my email for this show. kpft@politicsdoneright.com. You can get all the videos and the rest of the program at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. Or, well, there. Anyway, I got to get out of here. Love you all. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We now join Democracy Now! In Progress here on KPFT Houston.
You're taking more services and money away from working people while cutting taxes for the wealthiest. This is Reverend Dr. William Barber.
Elected technocrat can delete the financial commitments of a government established for the people.